Why is Russia's backyard in flames? Although the Soviet Union broke apart nearly 30 years ago, it seems the collapsing part never stopped. Its latest flashpoint, Central Asia's only democracy, Kyrgyzstan.
Chaos on the streets of Kyrgyzstan. What started as a peaceful protest against the outcome of Sunday's parliamentary vote soon turned violent.
Kyrgyzstan's slide into chaos has now forced its president to resign. He says he doesn't want to be remembered as, quote, a president who shed blood and shot at his own citizens.
And that's been the common story for Kyrgyzstan and many former Soviet republics, where a disputed election leads to unrest, making the peaceful transfer of power impossible. With President Jeenbekov quitting, Kyrgyzstan has now seen 3 of its leaders toppled in 15 years.
The first one says that the president of the Kyrgyz Republic announces his early resignation.
Police firing on anti-government protesters killed at least 68 people and injured hundreds more. It's been reported that the president has fled to the south of the country, and the United States and Russia are calling for an end to the violence.
Analysts have blamed the country's volatility on the regional divide between north and south. It was born from a 1924 Soviet policy to carve up Central Asia. Arbitrary borders were drawn to split up various groups, divide and rule, plain and simple. So it's no surprise some are now pointing blame at Moscow.
Criminal elements had been spoken of quite widely even before the elections, in the run-up to the elections. I think Russia is very much likely to have had some participation in this.
So far, the Kremlin has taken a cautious approach to the unrest.
Russian President Vladimir Putin and the Chinese Foreign Ministry both said on Wednesday they are concerned by the political unrest taking place in neighbouring Kyrgyzstan and hope for a swift return to stability.
And over in Europe's so-called last dictatorship, the situation is just as volatile. The president of Belarus, Alexander Lukashenko, has been in power for 26 years. But 2 months after a contested election, tens of thousands are still on the streets, demanding his resignation.
This is what President Alexander Lukashenko's 5th re-election looks like. Thousands of people spilled onto the streets after official exit polls declared Lukashenko the winner by a landslide.
Russia has had to walk a fine line in Belarus. It's been cautious in fully supporting an unpopular leader, which risks alienating an otherwise pro-Russian country.
Связанные как раз с этими выборами. Вы нашу позицию хорошо знаете. Мы за то, чтобы белорусы сами, без всяких подсказок и давления извне, в спокойном режиме и диалоге.
That delicate Russian balance was also on display in the South Caucasus. Azerbaijan and Armenia recently saw their bloodiest fighting in nearly 3 decades. Again, the Soviet legacy of dividing ethnic groups has led to multiple wars, especially over the occupied territory of Nagorno-Karabakh. Moscow managed to broker a ceasefire between the 2 former Soviet nations, but like previous ones, it didn't last.
The ceasefire brokered by Russia between Armenia and Azerbaijan to try and end a flare-up in fighting over the last 2 weeks has been breached within its first 24 hours.
To say it's been a bad couple of months for former Soviet states is an understatement. Because if you look at the past 30 years, there's been a pattern. Autocrats not wanting to leave, disputed elections, land grabs, and ethnic clashes.
So far, the Chechens have kept Russia's army out of the center of Grozny.
A barrage of rockets and shells was unleashed on a small town in the Caucasus mountains of Georgia.
A neighbour with 800,000 people in uniform then invaded a sovereign country that's recognised as part of the United Nations.
And today, 2 former Soviet states are in turmoil following a disputed election. 2 former Soviet republics have fought their worst war since 1994. Could this be a sign that Russia, long seen as an instigator of instability in other countries, doesn't know how to handle trouble in its own backyard?